All right, you're watching 2 News at 10 tonight. Our continuing coverage of this mass shooting that occurred in the back parking lot of an LDS church here in Salt Lake. We do know that 8 victims, 2 dead, 3 in critical, and 3 unknown, only, Heidi, because they were put in private vehicles and taken to different hospitals. So.
That's right, and this is an evolving situation. The original call came in. We were just listening to Salt Lake City Chief of Police Brian Redd, who said this call came in as an active shooter, which answers the question as why you have so many police officers there. They're still trying to figure out all of their information as well, but at this point they say they believe they have multiple suspects. Those suspects are not in custody, but as you just heard, they said they will not rest until they're brought into custody and justice is served. I'm sure a very emotional night for the community and neighborhood where this happened in. And also it looked like the community there that was at the funeral services, as well as a tight-knit community here in the state of Utah with the Islander community, and they all know each other. So I'm sure this is being felt statewide. Absolutely awful circumstances. We do know at this point that all the victims, those who were shot, were adults. Again, 8 people shot, 2 of them are dead, 3 at last update were in critical condition, and waiting for more information on those other victims that were rushed by people there also at this viewing tonight.
It was kind of hard to hear the mayor, but she said this never should have happened in our community, and especially outside of a place of worship. She said we will find these people, we will bring them to justice, and we will hold them accountable.
There have also been questions tonight, many online asking if this could be targeted against the church. This comes just after that shooting in September at the Grand Blanc Church House in Michigan, where we saw a shooting there, the church set on fire. But at this point, they're saying they do not believe that this was targeted towards the religious community in any way, but they do believe it was a targeted shooting where they were after specific people. And that's why they have fairly good leads at this point on who they're looking for in the terms of suspect.
Not targeting the church, but it was not a random act. So.
Absolutely. We want to check in with Brian Cheney, who's been on live on scene since this first call came in of the active shooter. Brian, tell us what you're seeing and hearing out there right now.
Well, just learned, of course, some of that new information along with you. A source did confirm to me that there were multiple vehicles that did speed off from this church shortly after the shooting. So those would be believed to be multiple persons of interest, if you will, that have not been taken into custody. Right now, the crime scene in and of itself, which was much smaller, was focused just on the chapel. Police, over the course of the last hour or so, have expanded that out to kind of just give themselves a little bit more room to work. They had the drone up for a long time. There was a lot of surveillance focus on the rear of the chapel. When I got here, I was looking at the timestamps on my video because time kind of just acts in different ways when you're on a crime scene with so much going around you over the course of hours. My first video that I was able to send back to our station was just before 8 o'clock. The timestamp on a surveillance video I was shared with by a couple that lives in the apartment building next to the chapel was just around 7:50. I'm not sure if that timestamp is accurate or just a few minutes off. But in that video, which we will play for you in just a moment, you can hear a number of gunshots, and then there's a pause, and then there are more. Take a listen.
Just sitting at home, I was doing homework. We paused the TV because we heard loud like bangs, and we're like, okay, that doesn't sound like fireworks, doesn't sound like any construction or anything. And then it just kept going, and after the 4th or 5th gunshot, my husband pulled up our Ring camera on the front door, and 3 more went off. He opened the door, and we heard wailing and screaming and crying over here. And my husband ran out, and he tried to call 911, but it got put on hold because so many people were calling in.
Well, thank you to Kenna and Brennan, who shared that video with me shortly after I arrived here, which was right around the 8 o'clock hour. That was when things were very fluid, by the way. And I know we didn't hear the video. I'll describe it for you real quick. I'm not sure if you can see it while I'm talking about it, but there were about 3 or 4 gunshots right away towards the beginning of the video. Then there's a long pause for about 10 seconds, and then there are 2 more, which lines up exactly with what Kenna was saying about the 5 or 6, which they went back and listened to on that surveillance video. I did speak with another woman who was inside. There were got to be about 50 people, if not more, that were inside this chapel, ranging in all different ages, families, young children, adults, and then obviously members of our elderly community, people coming out of that chapel in wheelchairs. That that were there for this viewing tonight. And that started to take place about 20 minutes after we arrived. People were able to start making their way outside of here. But again, the surveillance video you can see right now, if we can pull up the audio a little bit, you can actually hear the succession of the gunshots. And you'll hear at least 3 or 4 in the beginning, and then 2 more towards the tail end that you just heard right there. And that's what Kenna described. They were inside, just going about their business. They heard it, and then they went back and verified with their surveillance video. The woman I spoke to who was inside, her name Lillian, she was there paying her respects to the member of this community. She told me that all of this happened outside. She heard screams, did not recall hearing gunshots per se, and then people started to kind of mill about and move about inside, and there was this level, of course, of being uncomfortable inside of the chapel, but nothing moved in to the chapel. Everything, as we understood, taking place outside. Now, police at this point apprehensive to share if there was gang involvement there. There are definitely some preliminary reports out there that are leaning towards the side of that, which is why the reason for multiple people leaving in various vehicles from the chapel. But again, as we get a lot more of that confirmed information here with multiple victims, 2 deceased, we will be sure to bring it to you here. But for now, we're live on Redwood Road in Salt Lake City with our breaking news. I'm Brian Schnee.
All right, that's Brian Schnee, live for us. We also have Brian Will on the scene.
That's right. We want to go out to him live, where he has also been paying attention to what's happening there and talking to people. What are you seeing there, Brian?
Yeah, Mark and Heidi, we've been out here for the last couple hours, and to kind of set the scene and show you where we're at, this crime scene tape went up while we were here. Brian Schnee is actually reporting from over on that side, and you have a good view of the side of this church, and then where that scene is in that back parking lot is right back there, and that's where a lot of police were coming from. A lot of investigators were here on scene. We're on the backside of a McDonald's, and you can see they actually have some cameras up there on the roof. So this is when police are canvassing the area. They will look at these cameras. They will go to different businesses, try to see if they had an angle of this shooting. After speaking to several people here, we're hearing possibly gang-related, possibly a drive-by. And you've heard the latest information in that press conference. Now, I did speak to someone who was just coming home from work when he heard the gunshots ring out.
When I pulled up to my house, I got out of my car and I heard just in the distance. I was just like, maybe it's fireworks, but you never know. It's Rose Park, so it's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, and he came out after and saw this heavy police presence here and has just been waiting here, helping any way he can. He does know people that go to this church, and you can see family are actually gathered back here as police are still out here investigating this scene. It's been very morbid. People are still reeling, just a community in shock after this shooting. Mark and Heidi will send it back into you.
All right, Brian, thank you. We had an interview a little earlier this evening where one of the people who was leaving that viewing and service tonight said the person who died was Ossie Sakona. They were all there for him tonight. Looked up some of the viewing information, and that seems to check out as to who was there. Obviously, we don't know exactly how this all happened, but it does sound like the shooting happened from outside the viewing, where people inside heard those screams after the gunshots happened.
We're going to get to Annika Johns in just a second. We did get a short statement from the church tonight.
That's right. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has sent us that statement. We'll read that in just a minute, but let's go to Annika right now.
Yeah, hello, good evening. We're just outside at the University of Utah Hospital right now. We're working on putting in several calls, whether or not to confirm where exactly the victims of this shooting are currently receiving treatment. We've put in calls to the University of Utah Hospital, Primary Children's, and the LDS Hospital as well. Now, we made these phone calls prior to that briefing, which again, we just heard from the Salt Lake City Police Chief. So we do know that all of the victims in this are adults. And now we've spoken to Intermountain Hospital, who says that they are working on gathering some more information for us at this point, but there is no official confirmation whether or not any of the 6 remaining victims are currently being treated or what exactly the severity of their injuries may be. Again, we just did hear in that quick briefing that 3 are in critical condition, but as for the other 3, their current condition is unknown. But it currently is unknown at this point, but of course we're continuing to track the latest in this, and as soon as we receive an update from officials regarding where exactly these victims are receiving treatment, we'll bring that to you here on air and of course online. Now I'll send things over to Jamie.
Annika, thank you. And of course, this happening outside of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a chapel tonight. We have a new statement from the church reacting to the shooting, and here's what the church is saying, quote, "We are aware of a serious incident that occurred outside a church meeting house at 660 North Redwood Road in Salt Lake City tonight as a memorial service was being held in the chapel. The church is cooperating with law enforcement. It is grateful for the efforts of first responders. Until more information is available, all questions about this incident are being directed to the Salt Lake City Police Department. We extend prayers for all who have been impacted by this tragedy and express deep concern that any sacred space intended for worship should be subjected to violence of any kind." End quote. Now, we also spoke to Chris Bertram earlier this evening. He has extensive experience in law enforcement, now private investigator. He shared his thoughts on this shooting happening outside of the church.
You know, this is a funeral, and you know, it's supposed to be you know, a sacred time. We're honoring somebody. Not only that, it's at a church, and we always look at those places being somewhere that is sacred to us. So I think culturally, this is going to have a great impact on us. And I think that law enforcement recognizes that, and they're going to get out there and do their job tonight.
Very long night for those investigators. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest. On the live desk, I'm Jamie McGriff.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. Again, continuing coverage. This incident happening right around 8 o'clock earlier this evening.
That's right. We do know that there are 8 victims. If you're just joining us right now, 2 are dead, 3 in critical condition. As we've been going to our live shots, I've been checking my messages on social media, and one person I follow and communicate with said he is with his wife at IMC right now and has watched as some of those families came in. And he said that his heart breaks for the Polynesian community as he sees now 50 to 60 family members there waiting for some of those gunshot victims. So again, probably spread out through those Trauma 1 centers here in Utah, which would be the University of Utah and IMC here along the Wasatch Front.
Our Natalie Wattis also on the scene getting information tonight. We want to go to her. She's standing by live. Natalie?
Yeah, good evening. So we just heard a few minutes ago from the chief of police for the Salt Lake City Police Department, as well as the mayor of Salt Lake City. I'm standing on the north side of this taped off scene right now. If you take a look, you can still see that it's a pretty heavy presence here. To sum up what the chief of police told us and the new information that we know, he said all of the victims in this case are adult age. We know that the suspects, shooters, are not in custody. They're still looking for those people, but they said they're following all leads and told us that leads are pouring in from the community. They said right now they're working on talking with witnesses. You can see here behind me that it is a very active scene here, despite us and this whole scene being here for several hours. There's still a very, very heavy police presence going on. They have detained people, is what the police chief said, but they didn't give us much more information beyond that. They told us it's too early to say whether it's gang related, but as we mentioned earlier, they don't believe it's targeted against any religion. As we mentioned earlier too, the mayor said that this should never have happened. I believe we have some words from her that we can play right now.
Brief remarks. Absolutely condolences to the families and the victims. This should never have happened. This should never have happened outside a place of worship. It should not have happened at a celebration of life that was occurring inside of the church tonight. Condolences continue to grow, and we know that this impacts not only those victims and their families, the community that was at the church, but the entire community here in Salt Lake City and on the west side. I also know that Salt Lake City Police Department, and great thanks also to our fire department, who have been great partners in collaborating in this incident, are not going to rest until the individuals responsible are brought to justice. Full stop. No matter where they go, we will find them. They will be brought to justice. So we will give you another update before the night ends, and we'll have another moment in the morning to bring any new information or simply tell you that what we know is still what we know. So those are the updates that we have for tonight, and I think we've answered your questions. If there's any more, we don't have any greater information to share with you at this time.
What do your staff talk about after something like this? I mean, moving forward? I know you can't prevent, but you got to look at things like this probably and have a discussion. I think, okay, is there anything we can do? How do we move forward?
You know, while this investigation is still evolving and unfolding, we really can't analyze what was the motivation, how could this have been prevented, except to know that our police department, our fire department respond extremely quickly. Victims who were on site were taken to hospital immediately, and I'm really proud of our police department, our fire department, and grateful for the other agencies who are assisting. Until we know more about this and the investigation gives us more information, we can't start to make assumptions about what happened here or why it happened.
And that sentiment that you heard the mayor share about not resting until these people are brought to justice is one that we also heard the chief of police echo. They both sent their condolences out to the community. And again, we are told that we're going to be hearing more information and getting another update this evening and again tomorrow morning. So we will continue to be here on scene and bring you that information when we know it. But Mark and Heidi, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Natalie, thank you very much. The families affected, that's going to be tough tonight.
Yeah, a lot of families. And as you see, there's still large police presence out there. This is a multi-jurisdiction event. That means that we've got probably all along the Wasatch Front jurisdictions helping out in this. I was actually dropping my kids off at the airport when I saw a bunch of police headed towards the scene when this happened. I got home, realized how serious this was and came in. And when I was driving in an hour later, I could see from the south end of the valley, more police headed north, probably helping in the search for the suspects. So this is something that's going to be going on all night long until they have answers, and police saying that they expect to update us at some point again this evening, hopefully having progress and maybe tracking down suspect or suspects.
Yeah, if we get any suspect information during this 10 o'clock newscast, we'll try to bring that to you.